Like, the thing that annoys me the most about the whole Nicola Bulley case, and I mean the thing that annoys me the most about the whole of it, is this stinking CCTV and the fact that, like, people don't seem to understand, like, this watermark. It jumps. She's over the top of it in one of the frames. Like, it's over the top of her there, but it's over to the left here as well, and she goes over it there. Now, I've said it a load of times. I'll zoom in on it if you need to, but there's two watermarks. There's one underneath, there's one on top, and Nicola's in between the two. So it's not possible. Like, you see where I put Send Trees on it there? Imagine she walked over the Send Trees logo. Like, how would that happen? I put Send Trees on top. Like, my mouse is the watermark, yeah? So I put a watermark on, and Nicola cannot walk over the top of it. Like, she can't make my mouse disappear by walking over the top of it in this frame, yeah? Because it's on top when I watermark it. So she's done a gritty true crime watermark. I get it. It's on top. And when Nicola moves, you see that the jizzy is on top of her leg there. So you can see the font and everything. This... Let me zoom it in, because people are going to say, oh... And I might just cut this and put it on YouTube and call it the thing that annoys me the most. Because I need to make these shorter videos pointing out small things. Edit, transform, reset, transform. So you will see in just exactly 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 seconds what I'm talking about here when I zoom this right in. Zoom, 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 zoom it right in. She's in front of the G. Of course she's... Sorry, she's behind the G. Of course she's behind the G. The G is part of the Jizzy True Crime watermark. It's got to be on top of the everything. But when she pulls away... There's a G underneath. See that jump there? Watch. See the watermark jump from left to right there. There to there. See how the watermark jumps? See the watermark jumps? Right? You can see it jumping from between these two frames. The watermark goes from there where you can see it really clearly. And what you can see really clearly is this 6 on this brick here. It looks like a 6. It's a G for Jizzy True Crime. Yeah? That's 6. When I move the frame, you see the 6 jumps across over here now. The watermark moves. Because I fixed that jump in the video. So instead of the video all moving... The stuff in the frame that moves. Can I explain that any better? Do you remember? I'll show you just at the end, after this. The CCTV stutters. I fixed that by shifting the frame so that it was fixed. But some things move. And one of them is her watermark. But if you notice where I put my mouse here, this 6. When I press across, the 6 is still there. Honestly, I'm not doing shadows on Alan here. The 6 is still there. It's less noticeable, less defined, because it's less bright. But it is. The 6 is still there. That dark spot in the middle, surrounded by the curve of the 6. You can see it when it lights up, and when it's gone away, you can still see it. And it's not pareidolia, and it's not funny pixels. That 6 is so bright there, because they're overlaid twice. And when I move it, when the frame moves, it's still there, but it's not as bright, because it's shifted across. And the Nicola character comes into frame... And she steps across the 6, and the 6 is gone. And then she steps across into the moved frame where you can see the 6 again. But the 6 was underneath her over here. It's where my mouse is. There. And it's still there when it shifts and she walks over the top. She's walking on top of the watermark. On top of it. She's walking on top of the watermark. That's impossible. There's an extra watermark there that's shifted over to the right. That's on top of her. That's where it should be. The one underneath that she walks on top of, that's fake footage with a watermark underneath Nicola Bulley, not on top of her. It's impossible. I hope you understand this clearly. I'll also skip to Nicola Bulley CCTV here with the skip in it. So this is the same bit of footage but with the jump. So it's much, much harder to see because the whole frame jumps. See the shift in the whole frame? Because there was like a missing frame or whatever. Like there was like a shift from left to right. show you this in wider screen. The whole frame shifts on this from left to right. See how it jumps from left to right, yeah? So I said, this frame jump annoys me. Why is it doing that? There's a black line that appears on the right-hand side when the frame jumps, which proves to me that in the editing software, someone shifted it over to the right, which is weird. Why has that happened? That's weird, yeah? So I said I'm going to fix that by taking off the black. I'm going to shift that frame across where it needs to be. So I did CCTV that they released. I fixed it in inverted commas by making that frame not jump anymore, putting it where it needs to go. So instead of that frame jumping, a black line appears on the right even more because I've shifted the frame back where it needs to go. And that frame shifting seemed to cover me being able to see this Jizzy True Crime bollocks here on this watermark issue, where there's actually, like I said, there's the watermark there, and Nicola Bulley character. I'll show you something else as well, because I'll give you the full shebang here. Nicola Bulley character, the watermark shifts as the frame jumps. Well, it doesn't jump anymore because I fixed that, but it's still there underneath. It's still there. I can see it clear. And she steps over it and into the second one. So that's completely messed up. Completely wrong. Completely messed up. And then we have this as well, which I absolutely agree with, from Danvers. Danvers wasn't the first one to publish this, I don't think. But I think I saw this on... Well, maybe they were the first one to publish it on Twitter. But they were the first one to publish it on YouTube like this. And I've been waiting to sort of say, oh, yeah, no, this. This absolutely, for me, confirms what has been staring us in the face all the time. Is this photo of Nicola Bulley, where's that taken from? Is it the corner of what? The corner of this? We recognise this, we've just been looking at it. We recognise these sort of scenes. Oh, look, when you put them together, this is the corner of that CCTV. That's the corner of the full frame. But when we watch the video, this corner is not on the video. They've zoomed it in. It jumps and moves around because it's a composite image. The original timestamp's gone off the bottom and they've put a new timestamp on top. It's a composite image. It's zoomed in. It's been shifted and cut out and stuck together from different bits. That's what I've always said about that CCTV. And there's that CCTV now. There's that with the jump fix. It's not right. Where's the corner with the... Why doesn't it fit my frame properly when I put it in my editing software? Why do we have black lines on the side and a jump in the middle? And why on earth and how on earth does she walk? And I won't have it. I'm not going to mess with the settings to make the contrast up and down in this, but like, I could and it would make it more clear. But I don't need it to be any more clear. That's the 6 there, the G on the Jizzy True Crime logo. Okay, that's it there. You've seen it, right? I'll do it one more time because it really annoys me, this does. It's the thing that annoys me the most, I've told you, in the whole Nicola Bulley case. And there's a lot of annoying things in the Nicola Bulley case, but it jumps across and you can still legibly see that 6. You can see the shape of the curve there, the darker point. There it is illuminated. That shape of the curve at the top, the way it curves at the top of the brick, the way it follows it down and comes back around and does the 6 there. And to an extent, this brighter line on the right. And as the frame goes, those two things still exist there. It's not just an artifact on the brick. The two frames are different because there's two different there's a watermark on top of a watermark there. 2 watermarks on top of each other, bright. And then when you shift it, the watermark remains and the other one is shifted along. And it becomes much more difficult to see the Jizzy True Crime watermark at all now. In the whole frame, no, it's much, much more difficult. When she walks through it, oh, you see it. But she didn't walk through the one underneath, which is still there. She didn't walk through that. She walked over that. So unless they've got Jizzy True Crime, unless she's got Jizzy True Crime printed on her brickwork on her drive, they've done a piece of composite image with Jizzy True Crime on it. They put the Nicola Bulley character on top of that, and she's walked over a watermark. And who's done that? Who would want to write Jizzy True Crime on it? And why is only Jizzy True Crime the one that's got this and released it to the public? And if they're using that on that Channel 5 documentary, they need their heads read, don't they? Because there's so many other reasons. There's lots of, in the comments, I'm sure if I cut this and put it on YouTube, which I probably will, there's going to be all sorts of stuff people say, this is wrong, that's wrong, Paul's face. Yeah, go and check my other videos where I've talked about it. Go and check my Nicola Bulley playlist, where there's 2 videos that are long length where we go through this stuff, and there's shorter videos on the Super Chuffer channel that you'll find with all the different problems, the red flags in here. But let me get it straight, you know, let me be clear. That's evidence that that's tampered with. She walks across, and I don't know why people are not like massively infused. Like, do you not? I'm sure you see it, don't you? I'm sure you see it. That 6, that G, that's G6, that's 6G, the Drizzy True Crime logo. It's there. It's there. It's there in both of these frames. One brighter and one more faint, but it's there in both of these frames. I'm not doing pareidolia on you. I'm not doing the shadows. That's there. And she walks over it. That's not possible. Answers, please. Answers, please. You know, you've asked interesting questions in chat. I don't know how much of what else has been cut out, and I don't know how. I think this is a composite image to create a piece of CCTV. My opinion is they've created this to make it look like Nicola got in the car and drove off that morning, and Paul was there putting the kids in. Maybe none of this happened. I don't know what happened on the drive. This is a composite image from previous occasions where Nicola has got in the car, or where Paul has, or even they got up to this point and they said, "We need you." I personally think they got a stooge to stand in and walk the thing and pretend to be Nicola, so they could composite the image together. That's what I think happened. But it could have been part Nicola from the past, part somebody else. But they've cut and shut. They've got several. They've probably got 2 or 3 different videos, and cut and shut the bits they want together to create this for whatever reason. And then it was given to Jizzy apparently. Although in my opinion, Jizzy's a potentially capable editor, isn't she? And it's her watermark that's on it. So she's the first person I want answers from. Like, oh, yeah, you know, don't talk to me about all these other things that, you know, put them in comments if you want, put them in chat. But this video is about this one point about video editing. We know it's a composite image. We know it's cut and shut. We know the frame is wrong. And we've seen the full frame from where that other corner should be in it. And that proves the shape of the full frame. So you can't get around it. Jizzy's the one that published it. It's got her watermark on it. I want questions from her, answers from her. She'll never answer them. She just, you know, doesn't. It's true crime, apparently. Where's the fucking truth in this? Where's the truth? A friend of a friend. Yeah. This stinks. And it's perjury. It's like, it's been used as evidence, I assume, in an inquest. So it's serious shit, this. So I'm going to cut that. I'm actually going to cut that for YouTube and upload it, because it gets on my nerves. This does the most. It's the one this thing really gets on my nerves. I don't see why everyone doesn't see it as a huge, massive thing. The watermark and her walking through all of the other things that are wrong and everything else. I get it. You know, there's loads of wrong things, but that is an incredibly wrong thing, and it points directly at somebody. The person that's got to answer questions is Jizzy. How did your watermark get underneath and on top? Who was watermarking it? Who was editing it? Did you ask them to put your watermark on? How did they get it underneath and on top? If they did and you didn't notice, how come you didn't notice before you published it? Because I've noticed it. It makes you look really bad. Like, it's a real issue. It's potentially you've published fake CCTV with your watermark on it, and it looks like your watermark is underneath the character. So they've taken your watermarked image and then they've put a character on it. I mean, who's they? Who's going to do that? Like, who's got motive to do what on the internet for what? Like, everyone's going to answer and ask the questions. I'm not going to throw slander at Jizzy, but it's her fucking name on it. Sorry for swearing. You know, I've told you, this isn't going to come across. This isn't going to be. I'm not going to come across at my best in this video, because this is me being eggy now. Nicola Bulley case. The CCTV is fake. Questions need answering. And if the police use that as any sort of, well, we've seen the CCTV, this happened, they can't, because I've just shown you how fake it is. And Not just, you know, there's so many other reasons, but that one, please, you know, can we have more on that, please? All right, cut that for YouTube. You be good on YouTube. That was a little round of views. And there's so many things wrong, aren't there? Like, again, don't start me. This is not going to be everything wrong with the CCTV. Although that should be a video. Everything wrong with the CCTV, and just make a big list. Because there's a lot. Yeah, under the white car, we've got smudge, you're right. There's like issues about focus and... Like, obviously, you don't see these trees and bushes behind them, but you can see those on the other angle that you see when you see the wider picture. There's problems with the foliage, time of year. There's problems with this exhaust underneath, the amount of water that's on the floor, or whether the cars have been running. There's problems with the idea that the cars are parked at the front of the drive, because why would they both be parked at the front of the drive? Like, you roll up onto your drive to park your car up here. There's problems with the bin being missing about which day it was. There's problems with the watermark, the time stamp on it. Obviously we know now that's completely fake, but even itself looks like it's to have been messed about and doctored a bit, numbers wise. There's problems with the brickwork and how it aligns. There's certain lines that come across, like there's a diagonal that way that comes across. There's certain lines that you see and don't see depending on how close you're looking in the brickwork, alignment, white spots, things like that. Bricks that have been coloured and shaped differently, in my opinion, to make them fit better once they've been overlaid and the opacity changed. The characters have a sort of white halo around them at times when they're moving through the frames, which you get with cutting and pasting on. Paul Ansell's head's a mess, his ear's a mess, the hood's a mess, the way he moves in and out of the car's a mess. The amount of stuff you see through the back of the car and whether you should see people's heads in the back of the car and stuff is a mess. The alignment of this door line here, it seems to have a jump in it, a little misalignment. Whether one of the cars has been rotated and flipped or something like that, or like there's critique of what reflection you see in the mirrors and when, based on her walking around. Whether this door, one of the doors people think has been stuck on from the other side or something, you know, flipped over and switched around. The reflection of what you can see through the door at one point where it's opened or closed. Not really a reflection, but what you can see through it. I'm sure I've had problems with the brickwork here up and behind Paul here. I'm sure I've had problems with the way his head moves across this bush and what is and isn't visible past and through his head. Obviously Nicola Bulley's feet. We did determine, someone sent me a video, if you move quickly the frames might not catch. You can make your feet look like they might have disappeared, but I said looking through her foot and being able to see completely through it to the brickwork is a bit of a fucking no-no. I didn't like, obviously, her gait, her walk. I didn't like that it could be Emma. The height of her versus the car and Emma and the way she walks, we did that. The fact that she has no interaction with Paul during the CCTV, despite walking out and getting in the car, she doesn't look at him, say hello to him, or, you know, no eye contact, no noticing him or anything, just like doesn't even look in his direction. Yeah, you know, I'm doing it now, aren't I? But there are so many things wrong with this CCTV. There are physical, like graphical, sorry, you know, say physical, visual images, artifacts, problems, but there's also the social aspect and like the truth of it. You know, we've seen an angle now of the cars parked on the drive from the front of the house. In the, you know, we've now seen that from the house on the market, and they don't park their cars like that. They don't reverse onto the drive and just halfway up. They drive all the way forward up to the front, like all the way forward up to the back. They drive all the way up to the back, pointing forward. And then when they leave, they probably have to reverse off. They don't turn their cars when they get home and reverse on like this. That's not normal standard cars on the drive behaviour. But it's very handy if you want to make sure you're getting an image of the people in the... You know, if they were parked down here, you might not get such good images of the people. Or you might get too good images of the people. The images might be too sharp, too close. Anyway, I don't think that's good, the way that it doesn't seem to make sense in loads of different ways.